Hello, guys, and welcome to 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐿 World Cup Matchday 1. Let's analyze Group A, Group B. This is getting excited. This is starting, and we have Tom Renni and Dani Fisichella. Hello, guys. Nice to see you.
We weren't ready. We weren't ready there. You did your intro, all excited about the World Cup, as we are, but both of us were slurping at the same time. We weren't ready.
Well, get ready to analyze these 4 games with you guys. And remember also, we want to know your tips, your predictions for these games. And don't forget, press the like and subscribe. So finally, we are in the World Cup, and let's start analyzing the first game. Of course, we have the host, Qatar, against the second, Ecuador, and this is a very important game in Group A because they are the weakest teams on paper. We have to see this Ecuador-Senegal because they are so-so. But Dani, coming to this game, Ecuador, I think we can see them as favorites, especially because they were really good in the CONMEBOL qualifiers and because Qatar is completely unknown. What can we expect about the hosts?
But I think, with Qatar, it's a very unknown quantity. For sure, they didn't lack preparation. The league in Qatar stopped in September, intensive preparation. They took them around the world, also in Spain for a training camp, very secretive. So I'm sure they're going to be prepared. They even played 4 friendlies in the lead up to this World Cup, something that other teams were not able to do. No wins, no surprise against Jamaica, Canada, Croatia, under 23, and Chile. But, it is a team that hasn't done too bad domestically, at least. 2019, they won the Asian Cup. At the Copa America 2019, they were invited. They didn't get trashed, performed reasonably well, reached the semifinals of the 2021 Gold Cup. And, they were somehow slotted into the qualifying group with Serbia, Portugal, and Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, of course, 2 years ago. They held their own, lost 5, drew 2, won 2 against Luxembourg and Azerbaijan. So maybe the level of this team that we're looking at, it's Luxembourg and Azerbaijan. Will they ever qualify for the World Cup?
No.
I don't think so. Maybe Luxembourg. They're not too bad. But, I think they're going to try not to get trashed. They got pride at stake. Hosting the World Cup is a big thing. Going out and getting trashed 4-5-0 doesn't really bode well with everything that's going on in Qatar. And, they chose a very defensive system. They played 3-5-2, which looks more of a 5-3-2, so they can be a defensive side. They do have a few technical players, Akram Afif, amongst the others, but I'm not expecting them really to go gung-ho in the first game. Reminds me a little bit when South Africa hosted the World Cup in 2010. They were the host nation. 1-1. They were better technically, but, in a tough group, and they try not to get trashed. And now, against Ecuador, decent side, I would say. Ecuador, a new generation, built from scratch by Alfaro, a few young players, they go 𝐜𝐿𝐴, 𝐾𝐼CEDO from Brighton, Plata, and, very difficult for them to qualify from the South American qualifiers. They were the youngest team to qualify, average age 25, but can't expect too many goals. 4 of the last 5 games finished 0-0. Wow, we are in for a treat against Qatar. 11 of the last 12 in 12 months, under 2.5 goals for Ecuador, haven't scored more than 2 in a game since October 2021. I mean, that really sounds like an amazing game on Sunday. Ecuador, but the silver lining in qualifiers, Ecuador have scored the same amount of goals of Argentina, 27. Maybe doesn't speak very well for the great favorites, Argentina. First tip for me, both to score, no. 185, so either one team to score, probably Ecuador, might be 0-0 as well.
And Tom, we saw so many players from Ecuador playing in the Premier League. We have 𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐿 and Valencia now in the Turkish League, but he was also in the Premier League. Are you excited about this Ecuador team that, remember, Peru are out of the World Cup because they lost the playoff, but also Chile, also Colombia are out of this World Cup because of Ecuador?
I mean, not especially excited about either team, if I'm honest. I think, look, with Ecuador, you've got 2 teams in that region who are going to qualify, which is Brazil and Argentina, right? They're going to qualify. They qualified vastly ahead of everybody else. So essentially, if you qualify with that pair, you're the winner, as far as I'm concerned, of that region. You're the team that impressed amongst a bunch of very, very even nations, Uruguay and Chile. They're all very similar. right? There's only one or two nations you think, oh, terrible. You're going to thrash them 5 or 6-0. So Ecuador to finish, I think, 4th in that group and qualify is really actually quite impressive. So they're obviously a very competent football team. You've got to give them credit for that. Dani's already mentioned the top players that they have. Really impressed by the likes of 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐳 and 𝐸𝐿, who I've seen this season for Brighton. West Ham used to have 𝐵𝐵𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐿𝐴. One of the most powerful shots I've ever seen in my life. He can't play football, but his shot is incredibly hard. If they get a free kick or they get him on the ball when it's not rolling, there is a great chance. But look, there's no real reason here for us to have a conversation about Ecuador because they're playing Qatar. And Qatar are the worst team ever to be in a World Cup. They're not just the worst team to host a World Cup. They are the worst team ever to be in a World Cup. They have no business in a World Cup. This team are garbage, right? This team of players all play for local sides in the region. They have the striker who scored in the Asian Cup, Ali up front, 𝐿𝐵𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐿, who looks all right. But would he get a game for Leyton Orient? Would he get a game for Dagenham and Redbridge? Would he get a game for Cambridge United? No. These at best are semi-professional footballers. The only reason not to bet on Ecuador to win, the only reason not to bet on Qatar 0 points for the Eurovision fans is that we hear there's going to be 60,000 fans. What that crowd is made up of, being, UEFA delegates, FIFA delegates, sponsors, I don't know. No one knows what this crowd's going to be made up of. But if it ends up being, and here's a great unknown of this tournament, 60,000 vociferous Qatari fans who get behind their team, there's every chance they might scrape a draw or nick a win because for some reason Ecuador couldn't handle the pressure of playing in front of 60,000 in the biggest watched game of the careers of any of these players involved. That is the only scenario where I see it being anything other than Ecuador win without conceding. And I take Danny's point completely on South Africa, but South Africa of 2010 would beat Qatar 6-0.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right?
Yeah, no, so those was a professional outfit. I think the fact we don't know a lot about Qatar, says something about it, but there could be a home factor. I mean, I'm with you with that, I think, yeah. But for them not to get trashed, not to get beaten heavily, keep it to 2-0, I think is already very, very important for a lot of things that go with it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. For national pride, a 2-0 loss, but this is the only possibility Qatar might get a point in this tournament. So if you want to go for an emotional bet, firstly, don't bet. Secondly, this is the only chance of it. If you're from Qatar and you want to make some money on your nation winning a game or drawing a game or getting something from a game, this is it. Because the other two, they're going to lose 3-0 at a minimum. But they're going to lose this as well.
Well, we agree. Ecuador to win for Tom, 2.34. Ecuador to win 2-0, 3.6. Dani said, what did you say, Dani? Low scoring game?
I said both to score, no, which is a 185. But if you want to be a little bit more ambitious, you can even go Ecuador Asian handicap minus 0.25, 201. So if they draw, you lose half your stake. But if they win, as they should win, you win very well. You double your stake, 201.
Well, Ecuador, they need to win because the other two teams, as Tom was saying, Senegal, Netherlands, and they look way stronger. Senegal, as we know, they lost the star, Mané, before the World Cup, but still they have a very good team with Koulibaly, with Mendy from Chelsea, with Dia from Salernitana. They won the African Cup of Nations, and Senegal, Netherlands, Tom, is one of these teams that some people see as the dark horses. 8 years without a World Cup. They have Louis van Gaal. They have a team full of good players, but no one is a star, only Van Dijk. And as you know, Tom, this is not his season.
Yeah, he's been playing quite poorly, Virgil van Dijk, this season. That's an issue for Louis van Gaal's army because retro reference. They are going to, I think here, they are going to need that defense to be top-notch. They're going to need that defense to be absolutely incredible because their qualification relied on the brilliance of their defense. And the 3-4-3 is more of a 5 at the back when you watch them play. We know Louis van Gaal to be a very cautious manager. And offensively, you know, Steven Bergwijn will start. Memphis Depay will start. Cody Gakpo's done okay for a bit this season, but if he was good enough, he would have left the Eredivisie already and been playing somewhere else in Europe. There was some link about him going to, is it Brighton maybe? Or Villa or someone rubbish like that. So, you know, this is not an elite level attack. It's not an elite level team. They've got Frankie de Jong, good player. Virgil van Dijk, good player. I think they'll be solid. I think they'll be compact. I don't think they'll be daring. I don't think they'll be thrilling. Of course, the Dutch, when they get into major tournaments, do surprise us at times, but I don't see them as potential World Cup winners. I think they will probably, them or Senegal, win this group because they've got a very, very easy group compared to the quality of their squad. But, you know, I watch this team every now and then. I've seen them, they lost against Turkey last year in a bizarre old game. They've since beaten them back. And I just think they're a team that clearly are very undefined. They've gone back to Louis van Gaal to get them through this tournament because of the chaos of what happened with Ronald Koeman, the chaos of what happened with De Boer, the chaos of what's happened over the last couple of years. Louis van Gaal is in, safe pair of hands, get us out of the group. Let's not be embarrassed. And I think that's going to lead into this game. I think they're going to be very solid. I think they're going to be compact. They're going to try and keep the ball. They'll try and nick a chance as and when it comes. But we know Louis van Gaal. We all know what Louis van Gaal has been like for the last 10 years. That is a man who'll deliver results, but not particular thrilling entertainment. So if we're talking about what they can do, I think if Senegal can shut down the wing-backs of Holland, and Senegal are fantastic on the counter-attack. They've got so many players who can hit you on the break. And you mentioned Sadio Mane there. Last I heard, they were still going to try and play him, which is in the squad. Who knows how fit he is? So I don't know about this game, but maybe once they get out of the group, which I think they will, we might see Sadio Mane return. But they've got a really strong counter-attacking ethos with really good, quick, skillful players. Ismaila Sarr is someone I've always really liked, who's still, for some reason, at Watford. But I think they might have rested him the weekend so he could be fit for this game. You know, they've got good players. And if I'm looking at this game, I can see low scoring. I can certainly see a draw with both teams scoring, being a 1-1 draw. I can certainly see goals coming late in this game. But I would kind of pick for Senegal. The way these two teams are set up and what the attacking threat is, I see every chance of this being very close, won by a late winner, by the team that have got more youthful energy on the break. And that's Senegal, not Netherlands for me.
I was going to tell that if I can see a surprise in this first match day, it would be this one, Dani, Senegal upsetting Netherlands, although I would imagine an open game. I think we might see goals in this one. What do you think?
I think so. My first pick for this one would be both teams to score, which pays 214. Mainly based on the way these two teams play, especially Netherlands. It is true with Van Gaal, safe pair of hand, but they've been very expansive, especially in the qualifiers. You know, they are unbeaten in 15. They scored 33 in the qualifiers, although the group wasn't particularly tough, but they had the likes of Norway and Turkey. In the Nations League, League A, top scorers, 14 goals scored, but not only...
They beat Gibraltar, Dani. They beat Gibraltar.
No, okay. In the qualifiers, but in the Nations League, Poland, Belgium, Wales, in those 6 mini games, they done all right. And if you look at the way they play, they outplayed Belgium twice. In terms of possession and more scoring chances than those 3 medium-sized nations, I think they've done okay. What they do, Netherlands, is do concede a lot of goals. They haven't kept a clean sheet only in 6 out of 15 games. They conceded at least once in 9. So sometimes the fact that they're very expansive, the positional rotations, you know, they try to, every player try to play a couple of roles and interchange. They make them a little bit leaky at the back. And when you do, obviously, mention the centre-backs, I'm not sure whether Van Dijk and De Ligt, who potentially are the 2 best ones, can play together, because De Ligt has been in and out of the team, in and out of the Bayern Munich team. So they might have to rely on De Vrij, who plays for Inter and is really the weakest link there, of course, in a very leaky defense. They do rely on wing backs, Netherlands. So it's going to be Dumfries and Blin going up and down. It's a 3-5-2, so it's a lot of that. And these players are a little bit intermittent at best, with Dumfries, of course, being the more athletic of the two. When it comes to Senegal, I'm not sure how much they can hurt Netherlands, because if you look at the last AFCON, two attacks out of 3 came out on the left-hand side when Mane was, and they are without Mane, so they need to change a little bit the dynamic there. They tend to attack on the strongest side, of course. Who wouldn't do that? And without Mane on the side, I think they do lose a lot of cutting edge. I know, of course, there is a lot of strong presence of players that play in Europe. You mentioned also there is obviously Koulibaly, Ballo-Touré, who plays for Milan. So they are a good side, but I don't know how much they can hurt Netherlands when they expose themselves. Also, they don't seem to start games very strongly. The Senegal, they only, I watched the AFCON, they only score once in their 3 group games. Then with Zimbabwe, they beat them only in injury time. So they go better as the tournament progress. But in a World Cup, you don't have the chance to do that, really. If you miss the first couple of games, you're probably out, of your group with the AFCON. The oppositions were weaker, I think.
I don't know. I think that's really interesting, that, because I actually think that the way Senegal played AFCON makes me favour them more, because they know how to navigate a tournament. This group is easy for these 2 teams. They will walk over the other 2 teams in this group, which means I think you can play really conservatively. You can draw this game, don't lose this first game against Netherlands or vice versa, win the other 2 games, which I think they both will. You threw on 7 points. You get through on 5 points in this group with 1 win against Qatar, obviously, and 2 other draws. Once you've done that, then you can start navigating those tight, taut, rubbish games to watch. I think that's what gets you through in these tournaments. And the thing is, they've got a group they're just going to get through. So I agree with Danny's point entirely in terms of the way Senegal play, but I actually see it as a positive, not a negative, which leads to this game. I think they'll both be tight. I think Netherlands will go 7 at the back like Louis van Gaal did last time he was in the World Cup. I think Senegal will go 4 defenders and 3 holding midfielders like they did at AFCON. We're waiting 75 minutes for the first shot, but they'll both still get through in this group.
That's that's exactly against what I would imagine, which I've said over 2.5 goals, 216.
Go under. Come with me, guys.
Go under.
Go under.
Can Senegal sit back and defend? I mean, there's a lot of pressure on them. People think this is the best African team in the tournament, which I'm not sure about. So maybe there is a little bit of pressure of going out and impress and attack. We'll see. But anyway, I think both to score is probably the best one here. It could be 1-1, maybe 2-14. But yeah, we'll see. Definitely Senegal and Netherlands will go through easily anyway.
The bookies expect an under here, by the way. It's 1.78, under 2.5 goals, over 2.15. We saw a rubbish AFCON in general. We saw 1 goal per game, the maximum. Goals. So I hope we see more goals in this World Cup, of course. So this is for Group A. Let's jump into Group B. And here we have England. Tom, England, Iran. Tell me, what is the atmosphere in England? Because they were playing really bad in the build-up to this World Cup. Winless in the last 6 games, as we all know. And Iran, they are better than Qatar, that's for sure. They were top of their Asian group ahead of South Korea. They've been beating also good teams recently. And finally, the best player, Azmoun, who played for Leverkusen, he's going to be on the team because there was some controversial issues with everything that is going on in Iran. Tom, how do you see your England for this World Cup and for this game?
Well, I think with England is that the general feeling is that there's not a great deal of optimism about England. Certainly not the optimism there was before the European Championship, which we probably should have won. Beyond the fact that Chiellini is a despicable cheat, I think Fisichella will agree with that. Despicable cheat, should have been sent off for the foul on Bukayo Saka. We've moved on. But apart from that, I think with England, you're right to mention the form. And Gareth Southgate is a very cautious manager. But again, I go back to my point on Senegal. Gareth Southgate, for his many, many faults and flaws, that man knows how to navigate a major tournament. And that is being, I think, so underplayed over here. The man got an England team featuring Danny Rose and Ashley Young and Eric Dyer to a World Cup semi-final. Like, go back to that England team that got to the semi-final in the last World Cup. Rubbish. Like, there's some real average players. Sure, Harry Kane. I don't discount having a world-class striker, but it wasn't a great side. It wasn't the strongest team, and he still found a way to navigate them through to a semi-final.
Well, what kind of draw did he get, though? I mean,
No,
he was
exactly.
a bit lucky with the.
Of course you do. Of course you are. You play who you play, don't you? I mean, you know, if Italy were in a different qualification group, you'd be at this tournament. So, you know, you don't know who you're going to play. It's the way it goes. They still got there. And in the European Championship, I know they had home advantage. They still got to the final, though I think with a significantly better squad than they had in the World Cup, and they should have won that tournament. So there's a negative there. And I think that's the story, is that in the World Cup, no one expected it, and they overachieved. In the European Championship, we kind of did expect it and didn't win it. And so that's where we are. I think this is a slightly better team than the European Championship. Why? Because I think the midfield is where England have lost major games. I like 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐻𝐿 as a defensive midfielder. He is not the kind of player to control a midfield in a game where the opposition have good midfield players. And I think Jude Bellingham is why there is optimism from England about being able to maybe control a midfield. If you go into a major game and your midfield is Jude Bellingham, 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐻𝐿, and probably Jordan Henderson, a Champions League winning captain midfielder, I think you think, oh, okay, they can hold the ball. They can look after it. You've got Harry Kane still, who's still a legitimate phenomenon, scoring goals consistently at almost Erling Haaland levels. You know, people going mad about Erling Haaland. Tottenham have like one chance a game and he scores it. And then you've got a whole bunch of other players that can, on their day, be spectacular. James Maddison, Bukayo Saka, Jack Grealish, Raheem Sterling, though he's been rubbish this season. There was a lot of talent there. The issue is Gareth Southgate is very cautious. He's here to navigate through the tournament, and England fans want all these attacking players, the likes of which we've never had, at the same time, to go out there and win a game. And that is the essential conversation. But I think Gareth Southgate's right. I think Gareth Southgate has proved that he can navigate a tournament. I think Gareth Southgate is right to be cautious in this game. And against Iran, I think it isn't going to be a 3-0 victory for England. It isn't going to be a get on the front foot, barnstorm forward, create hundreds of chances. No, I can see the game being quite tight. I can see Gareth Southgate playing 5 at the back, as he did during the World Cup. I think he's desperate for Kyle Walker to be fit, and we're hearing that he probably will be, to play right centre-half of a 3 to protect John Stones and Harry Maguire, who've had pretty poor individual seasons to this point, certainly Maguire, who's barely played. And I think he will be thinking a bit about the Iran team and what they can offer. He will have studied what Osman can do, what Alireza Jahanbakhsh can do, what Mehdi Taremi can do. He will know they have good players. He will not treat them like Qatari minnows. And I can see England doing very similar to what they've done during the qualification stages, the Nations League games. 5 at the back, 1 holding midfielder, maybe 2 holding midfielders, try and score from a corner. Look at the corner count in this game, because England will try and get to the World Cup final again, scoring from corners. That happens more often than not in these tournaments. I think 40% of goals at major tournaments come from corners, and England are very good at them. So I do think England will win the group. I do think England will win this game, but I don't think it's going to be a thriller. I'd again go for a low scoring, under 2.5, over 10 corners. England win it, but it's not a thriller.
And what are the threats, Dani? Yeah, for England for this game.
No, I think I agree with you, Tom. I think the fact that Southgate, you look at the selection of the players. For example, the fact he hasn't chosen to take in Tomori as a centre back, it tells you clearly wants to play with 3 at the back, which is the best system that suits Maguire. Otherwise, on a back 4 is unplayable. How bad he is, but playing with 3 at the back means that everything has to go through the wing backs. A 5 defenders plus Declan Rice, but defenses win you tournaments, attacks win you games. That's why I think they'll go through the knockout stage easily, probably winning all the 3 games 1-0 or 2-0, and then we'll see. I still don't know whether they can beat back-to-back top oppositions, because they haven't done it in the last 3 years and a half, but this is for another day. Of course, the fitness of Calvin Phillips, Walker is a little bit doubtful there, but again, this is something that they don't have to worry for the first 15 days of the tournament. They'll think about it later. When it comes to Iran, I mean, it is a team managed by Carlos Queiroz, so that already tells you everything. They're gonna be solid at the back, trying to concede very few goals.
What
they
a thriller.
score many.
What a thriller, Carlos Queiroz.
Yes, I mean, they've been like this for ages. I mean, it's the same time he's in charge, Queiroz, solid at the back, scoring on the counter-attack. The last few games, 1-0 win against Uruguay, 1-1 against Senegal, so good omens there. But they try to press a little bit harder, but often revert to sit back and defend. I think they're going to play with Taremi up front, or Azmoun up front and Taremi a bit more on the wings. 7 Iran under 2.5 goals. They never scored more than 1 goal in the last 8 games. So it's going to be England having all the ball, maybe not creating a lot, few crosses from Trippier and whoever plays at the left wing back. So here my angles is under 2.5 goals, 179. England to win 2-0, 183. And one that I like them a lot is Iran Asian handicap plus 105. If England wins 1-0, you still win the money because there is the Asian handicap plus 105. If they draw, I mean, of course you win. If Iran wins, you win. So you got a lot of options there for a very tight game, potentially a 1-0 win to England.
Okay, you agree on this one. Iran was very competitive in the previous World Cup, by the way, with Spain and Portugal in the group, and they put a fight. But it's going to be tough for them to qualify. Of course, the second in this group should come from the winner of this game, USA-Wales. We have USA back to the World Cup. Remember that they missed the World Cup in Russia, and they have very good players, stars like Pulisic, like Reina. They have McKennie, Dani from Juventus, and Wales, they have Gareth Bale, of course, Gareth Bale. Do you see Wales doing a good role in this World Cup, or USA on paper? And also for the bookies, they are favorites, but this game is going to be tough. It's very balanced. Even the draw is what looks like more likely.
I don't see Wales losing this one because they have shown time and time again in the last 5 or 6 years they can match top opposition. They're not scared to play against top oppositions anymore. They never overplay them, but they are very, very competitive. Look, if you take the Wales team player by player, you think, well, some of these players are really bad. Tom was talking about the Qatari players getting a game for Dagenham and Redbridge, but Wales have got players who play in League 2. Chris Gunter plays for Wimbledon. Some of them play in League 1, but it's the collective that makes them really, really strong. They know what they're doing. They got a couple of star players. They stick to the task. And, they got a few unsung heroes. Wayne Hennessy, he's not a starter in the Premier League, but, he did a fantastic job in the playoff against Ukraine. Wales recently, very bad form, only 2 wins in 8. You guess which game they won? The one that mattered, the World Cup playoff against Austria and Ukraine, and didn't win everything else. Different circumstances, maybe Wales doesn't qualify for the World Cup at all because they had, got the 2 games at home and then played Ukraine and had to play Scotland 3 days before in the semi-final. So a lot of things that I think fall into place, but they're becoming very good at managing the tight margins, I would say. They never dominate possession. They never finish teams off, so they never win largely, but they are really, really competitive. And they play against a USA side that is changing. A lot of veterans have given way to more promising young players. They still got problems center forward, center back. The last 2 games, a defeat and a draw defeat against Japan, draw against Saudi Arabia. They do goals, USA. They are full of wingers, midfielders, like a Pulisic, Aronson, McKennie. These players, though, are untested at the high level, apart from Pulisic, I would say. Aronson, good season, good half season with Leeds, but no more than that. McKennie is not a starter for Juve. I cannot see Wales losing this one with the old experience they have. It could be tight game again. Gonna go for an Asian handicap 0 for Wales, 2-11. So Wales not losing if they draw again. Money back. Over 2 goals, not great defenses in each side. That plays 198, only 2 goals in the game. Of course, you get your money back.
I love this game. I really love this game. I think this is the best game that we're going to look at today because I think the winner will go through and the loser will go out. That's how big this game is in terms of this group. The USA are fascinating to me because I think in terms of talent, they're right up there in the top maybe 10 squads at this World Cup. And I pick out a few players here who I think are just potentially brilliant. Christian Pulisic we've mentioned, but he keeps underwhelming. Gio Reyna, potentially incredible. Weston McKennie, I think, is superb. Brendan Aronson, superb. Tyler Adams in midfield, I think, is their most important player. I think Anthony Robinson this season at left back, though we've known about him for a long time. When I've seen him this year, I think he's been absolutely incredible. And there's 2 or 3 other players too. You think, yeah, that's a good squad, that. The games Dani mentioned, I watched the Japan game and they were wiped off the field by Japan. Like, Japan totally bossed them. It was 2-0. I think it could have been 6 or 7-0. And there was a frenetic energy to the American team that I think they need to keep a lid on. I think Brendan Aronson embodies what America do, which is, and what they need to do is calm down. They do that. They dominate the ball. They keep the ball. I think they win a lot of games at this World Cup, including this one. The challenging thing is Greg Berhalter, the manager, has been trying to find a team for the best part of 3 years now. And he's brought all these really cool young players in, but there's a couple of issues he hasn't solved. Number one is centre-half. So Tim Ream is back, having been sort of retired from international football now at 35. John Brooks long since bombed out. And up front, they've tried everybody. They've not taken Jordan Pefok. They've not taken Ricardo Pepi. I think it's probably going to be Jesus Ferreira gets the nod up front. Maybe Haji Wright comes in to replace him at some point in the game. But they've basically gone, we ain't got a striker, so we can't play a striker. Let's just have someone do that Giroud job of playing in other people and try and get them to create a chance for someone else. Someone like Gio Reyna, someone like 𝐿𝐭𝐴 Pulisic. They have a lot of players who potentially could step up and be a massive story at this World Cup. The trouble is they constantly underwhelm. They have done well in regional tournaments. They have done well in Gold Cup. They have done well when they played Mexico in recent times. But all they really face in terms of quality opposition is Mexico every 6 months or so. Apart from that, they're an often unchallenged team. The thing is, though, I haven't got the confidence that Dani's got in this Wales team. I think the Wales team of a couple of years ago is long since flogged. Aaron Ramsey, the knees have gone. Gareth Bale, completely finished as a 90-minute player. He's got a good 20 minutes in him. And then what else have you got? Ethan Ampadu, Joe Rodon, up the Joe. Joe Allen still going to play? I thought Joe Allen had retired. You know, Wayne Hennessy is Nottingham Forest, number 2, having been Crystal Palace is number 2. I get the point completely that Dani makes. He's absolutely right. The collective spirit at Wales is second to none. And I think there's a possibility that their spirit might get them a draw in this game. But if this is a football match, Wales simply have no chance. And because of that, I think the USA are going to be able to keep a lid on it. I think they are going to be able to boss this game. I think Tim Ream is going to be able to put a lid on 𝐿𝐭𝐴, the big lumbering lump up front. I think Anthony Robinson's going to be able to stop the pace of Dan James. I'd be looking here for the USA to win. USA to win without conceding. I can't see a scenario where Wales score unless Gareth Bale comes on for the final 20 and does something special. The only way Wales score, I think, is Gareth Bale doing something special. So I go the USA to win and the USA to win scoring in the second half. 0-0 at halftime. USA goals come late and look out for Christian Pulisic, Captain America, to get it.
I like that Captain America for Pulisic, actually. And Tom, we have very good odds. If you go USA to win 2-0, odds are 4.0. This is good. This is good. Well, I had fun, guys, I have to say, analyzing these 4 games with you. Let's finish the video with your favorite bets for this first match day. Dani, tell me yours.
Ecuador are not going to lose against Qatar. I'm going to go Ecuador, Asian handicap 0. Very good odds, 165.
And Tom, yours?
Well, I was going to do that, but I won't because I'm going to be more creative than that. And by that, I mean the only favourite really in the entire show today, and England are going to win. I think you have to go England to win. I think you go England win without conceding in their game against Iran. Got to happen.
1.3.
They ditched the rubbish song finally, or is still on?
I think it's banned until the semi-final stage. Then we can all do It's Coming Home on this program before the predictions.
That's good. That's fine.
1.38 England to win. So, Dani, your ACCA?
England win. Senegal, Netherlands over 2.25 goals. USA, Wales, double chance X2. So Wales not to lose the game. Total odds 4.
And Tom, Renni, your first ACCA for this World Cup?
What a very intense way of saying my name. After my double came in this weekend at 4-1, which I hope everybody bet on, by the way, because I did, and I'm very pleased about it. I'm still keeping things simple. I don't want to go too fancy. So I'm going to pick 3 winners out here, which I think will happen. England win, USA win against Wales, though I know Dani has some doubts. I don't. And of course, Ecuador are going to beat Qatar. I just think you've got 3 bets here on Qatar where you're definitely going to win 2 and more than likely going to win 3. So it's an England, USA, Ecuador treble for me.
And I remember as well Leicester to beat West Ham. We were completely sure.
4-1.
And the
Easy
odds
money.
were brilliant. Well, thank you, guys. Let's have fun, of course, with the World Cup. Try to play some bets. You can make your own tips now on Oddspedia, by the way. So let's go and check it out, the new tips section. And don't forget to press the like, subscribe to our channel, and leave your comments. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Come on, Dani. It's coming.